Hi everyone, I'm Amy Carmo and you're watching Breathe TV. And I'm so proud to be here in person with someone that I adore, that I admire, who is so amazing. Dr. Neosho Ponder is an amazing advocate for Tigerlily and other groups as well. She spends her time telling her story, helping other advocates, and most importantly, helping other people find ways to heal their internal and external scars as they're navigating breast cancer. Being an angel, being an advocate, I see you everywhere, and writing a book about your journey called God's Got Jokes, which I love. Everyone meet Dr. Ponder.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. You're just a ray of light. So we all know that when you hear the words you have cancer, many of us just stop breathing. Hence why the show is called Breathe TV. And if you're watching this right now, you may be getting diagnosed. You may be in the throes of making important decisions about your breast care and your chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, just all these different things. And it's so stressful and overwhelming. And my goal is to have you leave this episode going. Having said that, we're going to open with a brief set of affirmation statements to get you grounded in your body and to get you to breathe. So put your hand on your heart, feel it beating. Put your other hand on your belly. And I'm going to ask my dear friend Neosho to say the affirmations for me.
I am a child of God. I am a survivor. I am a thriver. I am love. I am laughter. I am strength. I am life.
I am resilient.
I am resilient.
That you are.
Yes, ma'am.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so it is.
Well, as Mama said, I'm Dr. Neosho Ponder, and a year after I earned my PhD from Howard University, I discovered Clarence. Clarence was a 2.8 centimeter tumor in my left breast at about 8 o'clock. He's officially Black History, but I thought my life was about to begin because I had just earned a doctorate and I was looking for a job, hadn't found a full-time job, working, teaching part-time, thinking, oh, it's coming, right? That great, amazing job, and I'm gonna make a difference in the world. And God was like, this is why you can't find a job, because I have a bigger job for you. That was the first joke, actually.
Why'd you call him Clarence? Was he an ex-boyfriend's? Was it
No.
an ex-boyfriend's name or something?
No.
Why Clarence?
No, absolutely not. I don't even give them that energy, but Clarence was always that kid in school that got on your nerves and wouldn't go away. So I touched him for 2 weeks until I got my appointment with my doctor. And so I discovered him on the 8th, and I didn't see my doctor until the 18th. So I pressed on Clarence every day in the shower, like, go away, Clarence. So that's
Go
where,
away, Clarence.
Yeah, I was like, oh, please go away. Just, why are you here? Like,
Yeah.
I used to talk to him, and
So you Clarence was there
yeah.
and he wouldn't go away.
Mm-hmm.
And then how'd you get diagnosed?
So when I went to my primary care physician, and mind you, I'm still like, my Obamacare went through the month before I discovered Clarence. All a part of the joke, right? I was on like student health until December, that previous December. So this is April. And I only signed up for Obamacare because I realized I didn't have health care for 3 months and I wanted a therapist. So that's kind of how I ended up having this primary care physician, because my Obamacare had just gotten approved. And I went to my primary care physician who I just met, and she did the touch exam. And I mean, Clarence is very pronounced. It wasn't like, you had to like touch hard. Oh, So so when she touched him, she was like, oh, that could just be a cyst. How old are you? You're 36, you're on no family history. And I don't know why the statistics aren't known. Because when I learned that only 15% of those diagnosed with breast cancer have a family history, I don't know why that's the first question everyone wants to ask. And I was like, okay, I don't have family history, but it's still there. Like, and I know what it is. So
Yeah.
I just need the test so I can start the treatment.
Right.
Like, I was very very specific about my ask. To appease me, that's what it felt like anyway. She scheduled an MRI. That's not true. She wrote orders for me to make the appointment for a mammogram and an ultrasound. And then after that, I was supposed to have an MRI. But it never got to the MRI part because the mammogram and ultrasound startled the radiologist so much.
How come?
Oh my gosh, that is a great story. And every time I've told it, people always were like, you got to write a book because the way it happened. So I see my primary care physician on the 18th, which is a Monday. 3 days later, which is ironically the day when doves cried. So as everyone was sad and talking about Prince dying that day, and my appointment was at 12:30. So the news broke like right at 12:30 essentially.
Wow.
And I get there and I check in, and the first thing everyone wants to talk about, because I'm at a very Black hospital, which I love my people, but my gosh, everybody wants to talk about Prince. And I'm like, I have a golf ball in my boob.
Yeah.
I just want somebody to look at this golf ball in my boob.
Like,
And
by the way.
yeah. So and she was like, and then the lady was so familiar. She said, you 36. Why are you having a mammogram or something? And I'm just like, can you just check me in?
Because I want one? Yeah.
Can you just check me in? Like, I just didn't understand, like, why are y'all talking to me about Prince and talking to me about how old I am when I just want to be checked in? So I get the mammogram, and I had appointments with students because I was an adjunct professor at Howard at the time, and I'm at Howard Hospital. So I had student appointments like later that afternoon, and I planned them like that so I could go to the doctor, get the test done, thinking they'll call me next week or something, right? Well, no, and this isn't how most people find out, but after the mammogram, the tech, she said, do you want the results now or do you want the doctor to call you later? I was like, oh, she can call me later. She said, okay, we'll go down the hall for the ultrasound. Now, mind you, I went to my mammogram with deodorant on. Why? Because I didn't tell anyone about Clarence. Only maybe like 2 people knew. And both of those people were not even 40, so they didn't think about the fact that I wasn't supposed to wear deodorant, and no one told me. So I had to wash my underarms and all of that. But when I went down to the ultrasound room, the tech was so nice. I'm never gonna forget her. She was from Romania, and she was about to do the ultrasound, and I'm on the table and I got my arm up, and the doctor burst into the room. And I'm not dramatic, and this is how it happened. She burst into the room talking very, very fast. Hello, Dr. Ponder. My name is Dr. Blah, 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 and I'm going to be doing your ultrasound today. Who is your doctor? And I told her who my doctor was. She said, I know her. Go get her doctor on the phone now. And I'm like, okay. And I'm a pretty nonchalant person, so I'm not going to get hyped because you hype. And I was like, okay. So I'm landing with my arm up. And she goes, you teach here on campus? And she's just talking to me, she's talking so fast. And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, okay, so I see I looked at your mammogram film, and that's why I have to do your ultrasound. And I was like, okay. She almost knocked the tech out the way, literally. And I said, okay. And she said, nuh-uh, sit up. And I sat up on the bed, and she said, give me your hands. And she put her hands in mine like this. And she said, are you Christian? And I said, yes, ma'am. I go to Reed Temple AME Church. And she said, do you have family here? And when she said that, I just bawled because I had held it in. I hadn't told my family, and I'm very close to my family.
You hadn't told anyone?
No, I hadn't told anybody. Only reason I told my cousin is because he called me, asked me about Prince on my way to the doctor. So I was walking down the street.
Like, Prince, Clarence.
Yeah, and he didn't know. And he's my favorite cousin. So he was like, Neosho, they said Prince died. TMZ just said it. And I said, and it actually knocked me off my feet, and I sat down. It's a little wall in front of the School of Medicine at Howard University. And I sat down and I said, what? And I said, man, they've been killing Prince since Michael died. Let me look at Twitter. I look at Twitter because my family thinks I'm Google. And Twitter, nothing was trending. This is how fast things move. Okay, I have a whole PhD in media. Moved that fast. By the time I got a block away, less than a block away, everybody knew when it was trending. And but I really looked at this entire day and experience as it wasn't meant for anyone to know, because it would have made me more rattled. So when I'm crying, the doctor goes, don't cry. You just told me that you was Christian. So you gonna pray. I'm gonna do your ultrasound and you're gonna go tell your family. She said, I've been doing this for 35 years. I know what I see. And I said, okay.
What was her name?
Her name was Dr. Cook Sampson, and I'm pretty sure she's retired by now because my breast surgeon has retired. And they were about the same age. But having her, it was called an auntie moment. And I needed that auntie moment.
Isn't that awesome though that she held your hand, looked you in the eye?
Just like this.
Talk about a lot, like how the way that they tell you and the way energy that they bring in that space is so critical to how you're going to deal with that. It just, there's so much fear. I mean, it's there anyway, but the way they tell you is so important, you know, to how you deal and transform. So what type of breast cancer, what stage, all of that?
So that was a hoot. And even I had to start asking people because I didn't really know. But I just want to go back really, really quickly. I want to just make sure I circle back on the primary care physician that the doctor knew, that the radiologist knew. And she did get her on the phone. And when the tech came back in, she said, your doctor is about to call you. But I had to go back and have my other breast mammogrammed. And that's something that they don't prepare you for because you think it's just one. So then when they know it's not looking good, then you have to get the other one done, even though I didn't feel anything on my right breast. And she ultrasounded that one and she didn't see anything in that one, but she saw a lymph node in my armpit and then she saw clearance very pronounced. But she said, I need to see that other one. And as I'm going down the hall, my phone was ringing and my doctor, the primary care physician, was so apologetic. She was like, oh my God, Dr. Ponder, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I was like, sorry for what? Well, and she knew what she did, but I just was like, I ain't dead. So I'm just ready to fight.
Yeah.
You know, next step, you know, and that's how I was able to learn about my staging and everything. So I had to have a needle biopsy and she rushed that. Typically, people wait a lot longer than I did. So this is the 21st. I had my needle biopsy that following Monday.
Wow.
And in the room, the pathologist was there. She had everybody there.
That's awesome.
Dr. Cook Sampson. In the room where I had my ultrasound, and she did my needle biopsy right there. And the pathologist confirmed it. And then I met with the breast surgeon, and that's how I found my oncologist. My breast surgeon is called the breast guy in DC. So he's known for being a breast surgeon. He's taught most breast surgeons that we may know of now. And he told me to go see 2 different oncologists, and you know, those are the 2 he would recommend, one of them. And the one oncologist, she was a woman, but she was like, she didn't have time to talk to me. She wouldn't let me have anyone on the phone to hear because I didn't have anybody with me that day. But then my oncologist that I ended up with, he's a Sikh. And his name is Dr. Harminder Sethi. And he told me there were 3 things I needed to beat this. He said, you need treatment, you need medicine, you need support, and you need faith. And we thick as thieves. We're gonna have a Tigerlily stand up in his office
awesome,
soon.
though?
Like, yeah, it was a blessing.
My doctor and my surgeon and I are still friends. My birthday was about 2 months ago. She was at my birthday party after 17 years. When I got there to the venue, she was waiting for me. She was the first person there. But seeing her at my birthday party was like, she's like, I told you I'd be with you, and I'm going to be with you. And she's still there, you know? So that doctor relationship, like whoever you pick, it's life or death, but also it's for the rest of your life, you know?
Yeah.
So once you found out, did you end up having breast cancer in both breasts or one?
Just the one.
Just the one?
It's so crazy. I tell people all the time, I think my deodorant caused my cancer.
Why do you think that?
And it's so ironic now that we have so many natural deodorants and no aluminum.
We do.
After 2016. Go figure. And I think that because when they thought I was metastatic because I had a positive lymph node. And I'm going to rewind because you did ask a very good question that everyone needs to know. So I learned that I was stage 2B. And my oncologist, what I love about him even to this day is that because I have a PhD and I like research and I can read data, he shows me the data. He shows me all the steps and why it's the B and what it, the different size. And it was like so cool to see. And, but I was ER/PR negative and HER2 positive. And he says, you know why that's a good thing? It's because you have targeted therapy. And I didn't understand that at the time. But I said, okay, if you say it's a good thing, he said, if you're gonna have breast cancer, that's what you want to have. And when he said that, it made me feel like, so you're trying to say that all the other people it's like have the worst or something? Like I didn't,
yeah, like me.
It didn't click, right?
Like in the TNBC.
And now I know why he said that.
So I know this is episodes about recovery, healing, self-discovery, and finding a new path.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to what you said, the importance of understanding the research around cancer and why are clinical trials so important. Because people are afraid of trials, they don't trust in them. They think that they're for people who are like dying, and that's not true. But because the issue is that when you take part in a trial, not only are you creating a pathway to a new medicine for somebody else or yourself, you can save someone's life down the road. But the fact is that many Black women are not offered clinical trials. We're not being recruited into trials. And so hence a higher death rate for Black women in breast cancer.
Yeah.
So being in a trial can actually not just extend your life, but actually create medicines that can help get better medicines for people who need them, like people like you and me, right? So now that you know what you know, can you share with the viewers why are trials so critical?
When I was starting to tell people, there was a small group of my sorority sisters that I told, and many of them are in the medical field. And one of them, she worked at a bio research facility in Houston. And she said, if you want to get in a clinical trial, let me know. I live down here. I work with MD Anderson. I didn't know what MD Anderson meant. I didn't know any of that. I was like, okay, well, my doctor says that I have targeted therapy. Like they know exactly what medicine I need. But if I see anything or if he wants anything, I'll call you. Well, I didn't understand the importance of clinical trials, and I didn't understand the history of Herceptin until I went to this conference. Somebody treated me to a conference once, and I got to hear the gentleman speak who discovered Herceptin. And Herceptin was originally a Department of Defense drug for Alzheimer's. And he was just trying out to see what would work. That he didn't understand why women were dying at the rate that they were, similar to how triple negative breast cancer is now. And all through the 90s and early 2000s, they were testing on all these different, women, and they learned about Herceptin and what it does for those who are HER2 positive, because it's a shell around your cells, right? If not enough people participated in that clinical trial in the 90s and early 2000s, I don't know if I would be here, because I already had a positive lymph node. They took 11 and only one was positive. And I'm grateful and I'm thankful for that, because some people have 36 taken and 12 are positive,
Let's shift for a moment into your surgery. The first one, and then going through the rest of them.
So my first surgery was a double mastectomy, and I chose a double mastectomy. I think that I could have pushed back and said I want a single. But because of the one lymph node, that gave me more leverage. And my breast surgeon did not fight me on it. He was like, if that's what you want, And when I talked to my oncologist, he was like, that's probably the best as well. My double mastectomy, my parents were here, which was funny. But
so Clarence is now gone.
Yep, he is Black history. And I was so happy that he was gone, but I asked my dad to cover my mirrors. And I didn't know people did that until I started joining these breast cancer groups on Facebook, and people started talking about they didn't want to see themselves. And I remember, I call him Uncle Bob, but Dr. Bob DeWitty was my breast surgeon, and he was just like, I got you, blah, 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 And I remember after they give me the calming medicine they give you before surgery, I don't know that ain't no common medicine, y'all. I was out of it. I was talking crazy, and I remember every word. Even my last surgery was like that too, actually. But I told him that I did not want a Steph Curry performance. No, but as they wheeled me down the hall.
Oh, I was talking to you.
Because they gave you stuff, right? To calm you. No, I was so zonked. And I told him, I was like, this is 2016. So I don't want a Steph Curry performance. I want a Michael Jordan with the flu in 97 performance. And anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Jordan fan. And so I'm saying that. And I remember saying that I couldn't then when I woke up.
You're saying that while you were going under?
Yeah. As they're wheeling me down the hall, I'm telling him, all right, Uncle Bob, I want a Michael Jordan with the flu performance. And then when I would coming out of the anesthesia, I remember my breast navigator had come and put a blanket across me, a blanket I still use to this day. All I could think about was like I had to call my father. my biological father and tell him, because my parents were already there in the waiting room. That's my dad and my mom. And I was blessed to grow up with 2 dads. When I woke up, and I did outpatient mastectomy, which is not common. A lot of people stay overnight.
Really? So you were
That's what I
diagnosed in
was-
2016, right? So
Mhm.
I was in 2006. They literally had me out of the hospital the same day.
Yeah.
But they were like giving me all these forms to sign. I don't remember signing anything. I was still under the influence of the anesthesia, but they told me, they were like, sign this, sign that. And, you know,
Really?
yeah, I was out
I
at the
didn't
same
sign
day.
anything, but he knew that.
Well, things had changed, I'm sure, by then quite a bit.
He told me that there are more germs in the hospital than in my house. And he said, I want you to heal without no infections. And I didn't, without any infections. I didn't think about that at the time. And then it made sense, you know, that, yeah, I want to go home. So, yeah, my parents, you know, drove me in my little 2-door Nissan Altima home. And I wasn't far from the hospital, but I had to go to the pharmacy first. So I'm barely awake, but I'm just like, give me my phone. I remember all of this. But I was so out of it. And I called my biological father, and my biological father has a very deep voice. Had a very deep voice. Hey, baby girl. And I just said, hey. And he was like, how you doing? And I was like, I'm so sleepy. That's all I could think about. So then my mom's yelling from the back seat, she did really good. And no, we're so proud of her. I'm like, how does she know what I did? But yeah, so my parents were there for another week, and then I had to send them home. Like, they had to go. I just couldn't take it no more.
Okay, so you had 8 surgeries. 1 isn't easy, but 8 is a whole like God level of having different kind of jokes.
Right.
So how did you deal with recovering from that?
After I recovered from the double mastectomy, I went through immediately right into fertility treatment. So I had friends, and like even sitting with my parents, you know, my cancer mom, as I call her, she's over the cancer ministry at my church, sat with them, and my sorority sisters brought them food and things like that. And my landlord, which, you know, I get tired of even letting her occupy space in my mind and in my story, but it's part of what I went through. So after I learned that about my fertility treatment stuff, and after I learned that I had to have my eggs frozen almost immediately, my father passed away that day, same day. It's crazy.
I'm talking about your dad, and you know, you've been through so much. You lost your dad, you lost your brother.
I lost my home first.
You lost a lot of things. And what I admire about you is that, you know, we're talking before the cameras began rolling, how we're on the outside we're strong, on the inside we're soft.
Yeah.
Because people wouldn't see you and know what you've been through.
Mm-hmm.
You've been through so much, and you say it with a smile. You know, like you just been through so many things, and you figure how to turn that into some way to make somebody laugh or healing, and that's a beautiful thing. How do you take care of yourself? How do you self-care and self-nurture? Because people that take in a lot and give a lot, you do that, you forget to replenish yourself.
Yeah.
And you're still giving a lot while you're going through a lot. So you know, how do you take care of yourself to?
I live alone, and a lot of times I get very lonely, in all honesty, but I do feel like turning off, right? Not having all the distractions, not answering calls sometimes. I'm very active in my church. So that's like how I feel like my week ain't gonna be right if I don't go. I went to church at Essence Festival.
Girl.
And Jamal Bryant brought the word, okay? So that's how I take care of myself too, you know.
Your faith, having some downtime.
Yeah.
Everything off.
I don't necessarily need a drink, but it's nice to have a glass of wine every now and then. I love me some Uncle Nearest, because I'm rooting for everybody black. And, you know, that's whiskey for those who don't know. And I am, but I'm also an extreme extrovert. So sometimes I'll make a friend at a random restaurant or something.
I do that too.
Yeah, I've never met a stranger, courtesy of the little old man. And so that also nourishes me.
So in a sense, your giving and community activism, all of that is how you recharge.
Yeah,
it fills your soul.
But in terms of just taking care of myself, you know, I make sure that I'm watching TV escapism is a way I take care of myself. I'm huge. I love media, and studied it for a very long time in school. And but it feeds my soul to be able to serve.
I do want to go back to something you talked about. You said you made your dad cover the mirrors
Mm-hmm.
so you wouldn't see your scars. Where are you now with your body? And if you're in a place where you've grown to be more comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
if you have, like, what does that look like from cover the mirrors of dad to...
I didn't want the shock of seeing my chest. I can look down a little bit and I could see. And for those who don't know, when you have a double mastectomy, it's like your chest is like sunken in, and it also makes your stomach look way bigger. I wanted to ease into that. When it comes to body image, I participated in a campaign that For the Breast of Us did
Oh, I
called The
love
Naked
that
Truth.
campaign.
Yeah. And by that time, I was very comfortable with my body, and I finally, got a sex drive back and could finally, feel like all
Get
the
it?
way whole, yeah. And
By the way, but so you had your sex drive back, but then when it comes to that, you have to, you're not going to be clothed. So were you more comfortable with people seeing your body too? Or were you like, lights off?
That's a good question. And that's something that I don't think that we talk enough about. I still at times have a sense of like shyness, but the men actually helped me feel better about my body, right? And I'm not trying to give them all that credit, but I mean that's the truth, how long was it? For probably the first 2 years of after like my sex drive coming back, or maybe like a year and a half, I had sex with a shirt on. And I wasn't like overly sexually active, but I was dating here and there, and I wouldn't want to take a shirt off. So I would have a tank top on, and there were no complaints or issues, and they knew about, my cancer by then, and that my boobs didn't look alike, and all of that. And I am, I'm a Pisces, so I'm very emotional, and I like to take showers with my partner and things like that. But I didn't do that. I think the first guy I dated, I did not. And then like a year later was when I didn't even realize it, because we just were in the shower and he didn't care. And that gave me more confidence, and yeah, it's one of those things that just kind of evolved. And
give yourself grace, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I will say that, yeah, I've never had anyone like for real have like a issue.
So you were able to, how were you able to accept yourself with scars and everything?
Well, I name everything, as you know. So when I had my second surgery, so in between my first surgery and my second surgery, I went through radiation, and then I started to live with a severe radiation burn. And the burn was so severe that it never healed. So I started radiation about a month after chemo, and around my 13th treatment, I was supposed to have 25. My armpits started to tear. I started to see the skin peel, which I was told was normal. And
is that normal though? Because it happened to me too, and they said the same thing. It's normal. I'm like, I can see my flesh.
Oh yeah,
it's not normal.
At least you got to see that. I saw that and everything beneath it. I was not a science major, so I was like, Jesus. Yeah, it got really, really bad, and I started taking pictures every day. So I know the dates because I had to put them in the book, and I couldn't believe like those timestamps and date stamps on your pictures. Clutch. So I was on CNN on February 7th, 2017 for the town hall for the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, which saved my life. Then a week later, now I'm going through radiation still, but at that point my chest and everything was black. Okay. No pain, no issues. And then fast forward a week, I start to notice some tearing under my underarm. And then from that day, I started taking pictures every day because it was like moving. Like I literally in my book named my burn Vin Diesel because it was Fast and Furious. Like, it was no joke. And I just didn't understand why
So
no
what
one.
was happening? Like what did they explain that? Like what?
Nothing. That's why I don't tell people who my radiology oncologist was or where I had radiation. And there wasn't a clear-cut explanation. Let me be clear. I had a malpractice, but it wasn't like the person was totally irresponsible. I think that no one should see their radiology oncologist once a week. I don't think that person should be at a hospital once a week. And that
You
person
mean
worked
the
at two
patient?
different hospitals. No, the radiology oncologist.
But were you explained to beforehand what to expect? That
Yeah.
that could happen?
Oh yeah, but when it started, the tearing and stuff, I thought it was just dead skin going away, right? Like a sunburn.
And how did she address it when you told her what was happening?
Put aloe on it, put Aquaphor on it, and as it started to progress, and they kept radiating me. Even after it started, and they should have stopped it then.
That's why I'm asking. I'm not saying that it's all her fault, or
Oh,
I
it
don't
is.
want you to be. Well, I'm trying to not get you into your trauma space, and I ask because these doctors do things to patients, and then they say, well, we don't. It's what we're taught to do. Like my doctor who misdiagnosed me, who I had to call and go and like harass for an appointment to get the biopsy, misdiagnosed me, and all she said was when she called me and told me I had cancer, oh, you have cancer in your breast. Never, I'm sorry. People talk about medical mistrust, but this is what happens. And this is why it happens. This is why, for me, in my life, I'm going to tell as many women, young women and Black women, about the importance of knowing their body, being their best advocate. But the more we talk about it, the more we can empower each other. Thank you for being here and sharing your story. It's so inspiring. And we want to make sure that people buy your book. So where can people purchase God's Got Jokes?
My story is not just words. Music helped my journey, helped me heal. Also, when I talk about people in my book, and I talk about them very vividly, if you scan the QR code at the end of each chapter, so this is a multimedia experience, and you get to see pictures of my friends that I talk about and my family that I talk about. When I say little old man, you get to see pictures of the little old man and why I look like this. So, but the music that you listen to on each page, and each chapter has its own page on my website. So it's Neosho, Neosho, cponder.com. And, or you can email me at jokesbygod@gmail to order a copy.
So we have like 1 minute left. I would say give the viewers 3 tips on how they can turn their scars into stars.
It's okay to name a thing. So, my right boob, her name is Sanika. That's my cousin. And my left boob, her name technically is Sean. That's my other cousin. They're first cousins, and their moms are sisters, right? Name a thing. It's okay to name your scars. Second thing is look at yourself naked and be okay with that. And the more you look at yourself, I think you'll normalize what you see. So, own it. And be like, these are mine. So these are my girls. And this one is funny because I'm Team Barbie. I don't believe in nipples. Why? We don't need them. And so she's all of my stomach. So I had no tissue. I had no skin on this side. This is where the burn was. As you can see, this is all stomach skin. And thank God I had good skin, right? And then for this one, this is the one that needed more attention. So she's my back. So this is my back. This is my stomach, literally. So I had lat flap on this side, deep flap on this side. So I look at myself naked all the time. And I just learned to just love what I see. I look at my happy, smiley face on my stomach. It goes from literally hip to hip. I don't have love handles anymore because my surgeon took them. The perks of having cancer. But the third thing is to share your story and share your scars, share where they come from, share how you got them. And it will even prompt others to want to share their story. And there is a lot of power in our stories. I know a guy who has scars on his legs from a diabetes medication that he had an allergic reaction to. And I don't think he would have told me about those scars had he not known about my scars. So again, I'll just say again, you can name a thing. They're yours. This is who you are. But also own it. Look at yourself naked and be okay with that. And pose, and if you need to buy cute underwear and wear a cute scarf, but look at yourself naked and share your story.
Yeah.
Like, don't be silent.
Which you do all the time.
I do.
You are incredible. Everyone, thanks for being here with us today. Neosho is so amazing. I know you guys are all as inspired by her as I am. Pick up her book, God's Got Jokes. Again, embrace your body, love yourself, love each other, and embrace every single moment you live, every single moment you're alive, that your heart beats, that you're breathing matters. Yeah, it matters. Thanks for being here, everyone. I'm your host, Mima Carmo, and you're watching Mima and Neosho on Breathe TV.